Greetings. I'm Steve Cook, Superintendent of Bend Pine Schools, with your June 17th board meeting recap. We started at 5:30, promptly after an executive session in which the board heard two formal complaints that elevated all the way to the board level. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. Our call to order was a very effective and official meeting in which we recognized several things. First off, this was the meeting in which we swore in all of our board members who were elected in the May election, and that includes Jennifer Lynch, Marcus LeGrand, Ross Tomlin, Keena Chadwick, and Shirley Olson. That was the very first item of the agenda. Then we had two celebrations. District recognition first was for Mark Segesta, teacher at Pacific Crest Middle School, who received the Above and Beyond the Call of Duty Award from the district for actively jumping into a student in crisis in his classroom who had begun choking on a piece of gum and actually administered the Heimlich maneuver. And so just wanted to recognize his efforts to step in into a moment of need and crisis. And then our second acknowledgement was to Vice Chair Carrie McPherson Douglas. We celebrated her 8.5 years of experience serving on this board and her work as board chair and her entire tenure as one of the leaders in this district, and her great legacy that she'll leave on. Lots of appreciation for her. We then moved into public comment. We had quite a few public commenters, including some students. Our first one was Solian Buckley, a 7-year-older at Miller who wants us to do better with math and math acceleration. He was talking about his ability to do math at his grade level and can do it far beyond his grade level. His mother, Kara Buckley, spent a little bit of time talking with us about the needs that her student has, is just not being challenged in class. And then we had we had Amanda Dayton, who wanted to share with the board her concerns about the district's policy on air quality and how we are approaching when we would move students in from outdoor experiences, depending on what the quality of the air is. The next person was Brooke Muse, who again elevated phone use and screen time in our schools and challenged us to come up with more specific standards and guidelines across the district. And then we heard from Melissa Barnes-Delakia, former board member who's now the executive director of Bend International School, asking and hoping that the district would be willing to share more resources and dollars that are funded from state school fund to the district and pass those dollars through to the charter school. And Siley Cummings was a student from Bend International School who also talked about her wonderful learning experiences at Bend International School. And our last speaker was Sylvia Tatum, student at Cascade Middle School, who wanted to share her experience being in the TAG program and feeling like the middle school TAG program wasn't as rigorous as she had hoped and felt like that we hadn't challenged her enough. And so that was the last of our public commenters, and we moved right into our consent agenda. The consent agenda had quite a few items on it and passed unanimously. And then there were several items in consent for information that I shared with the board. The first one was we had a board comment from December that we had spent a lot of time investigating, which was whether or not we should be selling Celsius in our school stores. And the wellness committee convened and had a pretty extensive meeting and actually took it one step further and said, actually, we're going to recommend that the district not sell any energy drinks in school stores. The second one was 15 policy recommendations with regards to transportation. Third item was a fourth quarter financial report and sharing that. And then we had 4 action items, which was the majority and the lion's share of our meeting tonight. The first one was the tax and resolution for how to tax our community, which is an annual thing that is effectively passing. That's the last item of the budgetary process, which authorizes the district to tax the community for property taxes to fund our school based upon the budget that was approved in previous meetings. And that passed, both resolutions that in support of that passed unanimously. Second item was the collective bargaining agreement with Bend Education Association, passed unanimously. Third item was OSEA's collective bargaining agreement, passed unanimously 5-0 with one abstention. And then the fourth item that the board, actually the fourth and fifth items were the two complaints that the board heard in the executive session. One complaint was dealing from an issue in April, and the other complaint was dealing with an issue in May. The board voted unanimously with one abstention on one item to refuse to hear the complaint formally, and the other item was voted 6-0 to refuse to hear that complaint formally by the board. And then I shared on my superintendent's report several items which were specific to just celebrating our fantastic graduation, 7 high schools graduating about 1,400 students. We celebrate a couple of administrative retirements. A few days ago, Walt Norris and Roger White are now both formally retired from the district. Also recognize that we're having a partnership with the CORIN here in the region, using a book that they're providing for us called Leading with Dignity. I'm excited about that work next year for our administrators. Talk just a little bit about the AI training that's going on with our administrators right now that'll be going out to all staff this next fall. And then just spend a little time talking about our stakeholder engagement actions this year and how important it's been to hear voices of those that don't always have a seat at the table, and just celebrating that that's where we're getting a lot of quality decisions being made because of the collaborative aspect of that, and hearing those voices as we seek to get more feedback from our system. And then the board of directors spent quite a bit of time sharing their appreciation for graduations, for their elections, for all of the detail that has been going on for this year, kind of an end of the year type of board meeting, with our July meeting being very short and probably mostly just passage of a few things that are required, and just a lot of challenges from our board members to continue the growth and improvement model, and looking forward to a fantastic and exciting 25-26 school year. Our next board meeting is scheduled for July 8th, 5:30, right here in the boardroom here at Central Office. And I just want to take a chance to give everybody a shout out to have a wonderful and restful summer, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here soon.